Are you good?
Yeah, man. It's good to be alive.
Feels good, man. Lovely. Welcome back to all our viewers, to subscribers, and the new guys. Guys, please subscribe, share, and like. But more above all, please engage us in the comment section. Please engage us. Your views are valid, and we just want to have a fruitful conversation. Let's have a chat, man, about what's been happening in South Africa for the past few days with regards to the national shutdown. So basically, the national shutdown was what the EFF announced about 2 months ago that they would do. They would shut the country down, primarily shutting down all economic activities so that Cyril Ramaphosa could step down with immediate effect. I personally never wanted Cyril Ramaphosa to be president in the first place, my brother. I am completely against his involvement in this country. I never wanted him to be president. And it's obviously mind-boggling that people would continue to defend this guy after years of incompetence. Even the way this guy came about into the political scene in this country. He started back in the 70s, I think, primarily when he joined an Afrikaner business. I will get into the details of that in another episode. But he got involved with Afrikaner business, people back in the 70s, during the days of the youth uprisings in Soweto and other areas. And then he came through as this savior of, mine workers or whatever. He was a trade unionist for a while, and then he became a board member of the same mining companies he used to purportedly fight against. So for me, if someone can be an enemy and a friend, then that person is a flip-flopper of note. You better be careful of such an individual who started as a trade unionist fighting against the exploitation of mine workers or purportedly fighting against it, and then boom, being the exploiter. Which shows that it was never about fighting for anything. It was really about him getting what he wants and doing what his masters wanted him to do. And then he finds his way into the ANC. He was involved in the CODESA negotiations. He's the same guy who was involved in the negotiations that gave us this country that we have now. This toxic country that we have now. So his history is not the nicest of histories. It's not the most, credible of histories. Some people say that his father was a policeman under the apartheid regime, whereas others say he's not even South African. Some people say he's actually East African. I don't know, my brother. I really don't. But it's up to people to go and find out these facts. But anyway, man. So I support the idea that this guy should step down. I never wanted him to be president in the first place. I think this country deserves a younger president.
Apparently, he was not only a dream candidate for South Africans, but also for Europeans as well.
Oh yeah, so Europeans liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Perhaps that would explain why a lot of white people in the comment section seem so dissatisfied that the national shutdown was peaceful. Perhaps they had hoped for a failure of a shutdown, something that would come with looting and their typical black person, type of toy. There's a saying that they like to say, you can take the monkey out of the bush, you can take the bush out of the monkey. Perhaps they had hoped for something like that, seeing that this is their preferred candidate. I remember during, when was it, 2018, when this guy became president, I think 2017, there was this thing called Ramaphosa, where people had phoria, they had this false hope that the new dawn is coming, Tumamina, blah, 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 all this rubbish and nonsense, whole lot of emptiness. A lot of white people loved him, and they still do to this day, actually.
The new dawn.
A new dawn. Maybe for them, not for us. So, for me, what I found interesting is that a lot of people seemed disappointed that there was not much violence at all. They seemed very disappointed, especially in the comment section when you go to these various social media platforms. They seemed very disappointed, and they downplay this EFF-led national shutdown. They downplay it. Had it been the DA involved, they would have, blown it out of proportion. Oh, thank you very much, Democratic Alliance. Oh, Steenhuisen for president. Oh, the DA, such a beautiful party.
You know them.
You know them. News 24 would be doing documentaries on Steenhuisen's difficult upbringing. The guy doesn't have, he only has matric. If he does have matric, I don't know about it. Seems like education doesn't matter anymore in this country. Same guy who runs the DA. And they tried by all means, man, to, sort of like paint this EFF-led Malaysia shutdown as this bad thing that the EFF shouldn't do this. But let's face it, man, the results were beautiful. For the first time this year, man, in this country, there's a day where there's no shutdown, there's no lockdown at all, there's no load shedding at all. It's so hard to separate load shedding and lockdown, my brother, because this is all Ramaphosa is doing.
It's load shedding is the same as
it's lockdown, man.
Because other businesses don't have money to buy.
Bro, it's lockdown.
So they are locked down.
We are locked down, man, and this is what Ramaphosa is doing, man. He's the one. He's the president. He's the CEO of the country. There's no other higher authority than him, or at least in the public eye, because we do know there's higher authorities. We do know that the finance sector, the finance mafia, your Rothschilds, we know that they run this nonsense. You know the Rockefellers, they run this nonsense. The Oppenheimers, they run this nonsense. We know that. But I mean, in the public eye, at the very least, he should be the one that we should be crying out to, that dude, fix the country. So for me, that was the first thing that I noticed, that there was a lot of downplaying the impact of this lockdown, especially from people who do not necessarily support the EFF. For me, I don't care, man. I'm not an EFF member, I'm not an ANC member, I'm not a DA member. But I give credit where it's due. I think it takes amazing influence for someone to organize something at a national scale. Anyone, I don't care if it's Julius Malema, any individual who's able to organize and move people at a national scale, that takes, a level of, you have to know what you're doing. But beyond that, this guy, he made the ANC so uncomfortable. They had to organize the SAPS. They had to organize the traffic metropolis. They had to organize, I'm sure firefighters were ready as well. They had to organize Fidelity Private Security Company.
And
the military was ready, man.
I was like, what's going on?
Which is interesting.
They spent billions on when they were deploying those people there.
Which is interesting to me, that the military would be so ready to protect the citizens. The police would be so ready. The Metro Police would be so ready to protect the citizens, including private companies like Fidelity Security Services will be so ready to intervene, when every day in this country, man, people are dying. No. Let me rephrase that. Every single day in this country, people are being murdered. We are the murder capital of the world. Cape Town, DA-led Cape Town, is the murder capital of the world. They are so proud of Cape Town. Oh, Cape Town, the beauty. Oh, Cape Town. They even call it Europe. Delusional white people call Cape Town Europe. So they were there.
I think that the response that the ANC had on this event showed that they are really, really scared of the EFF.
It's so crazy, man, that they have to be moved by a politician, and they're not concerned about their civilians. Everyday people, man, dying in Manenberg, Nova Park, Bonteville, Bishop Lavis, Lentachir, Mitchell's Plain, Kailita, Guguletu, Nyanga, Lower Crossroads, Old Crossroads, Philippi, Samora Machel. People are dying every day in this. This is just Cape Town, man. Kwalanga. People are dying every single day. You don't see SANDF visibility there. You don't see the police department there. They actually run away from the crime scene. They always come after the incident. But then when a politician now tries to mobilize people for one cause, just for the president to step down, they do have the capacity. But all of a sudden.
Do you really think that this shutdown was only for one cause?
I know it wasn't.
Because, whenever there's a major event in the world, we all know that there's something that we are being distracted from.
I agree.
Because I think Kenya had a shutdown as well. Nigeria had a shutdown as well. I don't know which other country.
I think Tunisia or Morocco.
Yeah,
on the north.
Day.
Yeah, someone pointed that out.
So I was like, hey man, it makes a lot of sense, because every time when there's a major event, like
they distract us.
COVID-19 and things like that.
I totally agree. No. I do agree with you that probably there's a lot of things going on in the background. Remember, that's what I said maybe a month ago when we were speaking about this, that this could be another way. This could be just a war, man, between the mafias or between the powers that be, the matrix. There could be just a war. And one side is fighting the other using civilians or control the opposition. That's what they do. They pick and choose their own people that, look, you'll be the EFF. You'll act as if you're opposition to these guys, and you'll act as if you hate these ones, and you'll be the DA. You act as if you don't get along. But we know at the end of the day, they all share the same table. We know at the end of the day, they all sleep together. At the end of the day, they all report to the same masters. Rothschild doesn't care if you're EFF or you're ANC or you're DA. You will implement his orders. The Rothschild family will order you. You will follow what they want. The Oppenheimer family will order you and you will follow what they want. And all these other powerful families that run this so-called world. So we do know at the very high level, man, of power, it means nothing that you are EFF, your ANC or whatever. But what I mean is, at the very low level now, at government level, it's crazy to see that the ANC has the ability to deploy the SANDF, which is the South African National Defence Force, and the metropolis in the different provinces. It's crazy that they have that capacity, but then they don't have the same capacity to deploy the same instruments to protect the people in Umlazi. They don't have that to deploy KwaMashu, in Tembisa, in Alexander, where people are dying every day. For me, that's a shocker, but it's not really a shocker because I know they need the crime to keep on happening. They need people to keep on being arrested. It's an economy, man. Crime has to keep on happening so that they can thrive. They need the police service to not work properly so that their syndicate continue operating in this country. So we have to open our eyes. This country is run by criminals. In the EFF, in the ANC, in the DA, in the IFP, it's all the same, my brother. It's all the same. That's why they don't want a population that can think for itself. Because once you start thinking for yourself, then you will talk about, let's go off grid. Let's get away from ESCOM. Let's generate our own electricity. Let's have our own communities. Let's buy land and gate our communities. Let's educate our own children. Let's not send kids to learn about sex education and gender studies at school. Let's educate them on how to build. Kids must learn plumbing. Kids must learn electricity. Kids must learn tiling, how to build, how to plan, how to design. Kids must learn about their bodies, about how to solve their health issues without depending on drugs or pharmaceuticals. Once you start thinking along those lines, then you are dangerous. You are dangerous. That's why the government will not allow you to get to that level.
Conspiracy theory.
Hey, they will call you a conspiracy theorist. Boom! The movie Matrix now comes in. Remember, there was an agent, Agent Smith. He was the guardian of the Matrix. Whenever the Matrix was going to be exposed, Agent Smith comes with his agents. And you see that Agent Smith effect on people. Once you start talking along these lines, along these dangerous lines, you can talk about anything. You can fight against white people. You can fight against racists. You can fight against pedophiles. But the moment you talk about the entire governing structure as being the problem, you talk about pharmaceuticals being the problem. Because pharmaceuticals will point you towards the drugs instead of towards looking inside your body. They'll point you towards drugs like, no, you need a treatment for this. This is a mental issue. How about I look at plants? How about I look at, the water and the food that I eat? How about I change that? No, don't go that way. Yeah, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's the Agent Smith effect. When an average person starts to protect the oppressor in thinking that you're the one who's going astray, you must stay in line. So that's how much this oppression has gotten. This programming, man, is so deep that we are gatekeeping. As the average individuals, we are gatekeeping now. When you start telling the truth, the guy next to you must put you in place that you can't go that far, bro. No, you can't. Remember during COVID, when people were saying, no, man, this thing has not been tested enough. There's side effects to this thing. Those people were ostracized in society.
Currently now there's a social grant for people who have side effects.
Obviously, which is majority of people who took the vaccine. Majority of people who took it have side effects. A lot of them died. A lot died of not even of the vaccine, of the COVID. They just manipulated the numbers. I don't want to get into that. But my point is, that was a very beautiful display of the Agent Smith effect, where an average individual was not allowed to think beyond the boundaries of the Matrix. Family members, man, the moment you start thinking differently and you're telling them that, I don't feel comfortable with this thing. We can see the side effects. The numbers are being manipulated. I'm not going to take this. Agent Smith effect kicks in on the average individual who doesn't see beyond the boundaries that are set for them. I've seen this in ants like the little insects. You see ants walking, né? Ants are small, right? They're very small. You draw a line, go a bit deeper into the ground and draw a line. A lot of ants or even cockroaches, they're not going to cross that line. They'll walk around it because they can't see what's beyond that line, you see? I think that's what the Agent Smith effect is about. You gatekeeping this system. You ensuring that the next person keeps on the system as well, and the next person keeps on the system. So you never know what's beyond. You only know what you see in front of you.
When you're talking about what's beyond, you make me think of the theory about Antarctica.
What's beyond Antarctica? Yeah. I mean, you have to think about such things, man. But then the government can't have people thinking to that level. You have to think about, sex. You have to think about the next dance challenge. You have to think about alcohol. Oh, there's a new sneaker now. Balenciaga has a new sneaker. You have to think about the new clothing brand that just got launched. The next event, the Olympics. Oh, the World Cup. Oh my goodness. The national shutdown. A lot of these things are just distractions from what's really happening. And they're changing the story, man. They're changing the story. So I agree with what you said, that sometimes a lot of these major events are used to just drive the narrative. A lot of them are even rehearsed, They even hire actors, man. Remember during the Russian-Ukraine thing, there were actors who were holding cardboard guns on camera. You can go to YouTube right now. On news, man, people holding cardboard guns, and the reporter will be like, I'm here in the battlefield, people are fighting. It's cardboard guns, you can see. These people are acting, man. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So, it's crazy, man. That's how much this world is messed up. But back to the ANC, EFF, DA, IFP, and all these other stupid organizations that are trying to control our people. Because they are really just, coons in the hands of masters. Why do we not have SANDF in areas that have high crime rates? We are the murder capital of the world, rape capital of the world. We have the highest crimes in the world, but then we don't see a strong police force when we need to. But then when there's going to be some national shutdown, all of a sudden now, the police know what to do. Isn't that interesting now? Think about that for a minute. And then, think about how your tax money is being used, because you'd pay tax one way or another. It could be income tax, could be business tax, or value-added tax, but you do pay tax one way or another. So think about that tax money for a minute. So that's the second point that I wanted to raise. The third point, man, is that talking about the capacity to do things and the willingness. There's no load shedding, man, even today, as I'm speaking to you. Why is there no load shedding today? Because there was load shedding all over. And I had an analyst pointing out that we lose from 1 billion rand a day in South Africa to about 4 billion rand a day, which is on the upper side, inclining towards the higher amount because of load shedding. You see? On average, man, every day we lose at least 3 billion, 2 billion, up to 4 billion because of load shedding alone. If these guys cared so much about the economy, wouldn't they want to stop load shedding? You see? So one of the analysts, a white guy, was pointing out that even if there was a national shutdown and then there was looting, we wouldn't go close to losing what we lose every day in the economy because of load shedding. So the people who were claiming that, the shutdown, we're going to destroy the economy, it doesn't come anywhere near what's been happening because of load shedding. 4 billion rands a day, man. Imagine how many days we've had load shedding for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. An average, man, of 1 billion to 4 billion a day. That's not a child's play. Look at how many years we've had load shedding. It's in the trillions of rands, the amount of money we've lost. In the trillions of rands. But then the South Africans don't want to hear that. They want sensational news. They want emotive news. Oh, the black person died. Oh, white person. Oh, color this, Indian that. Go to hell with your nonsense of color and whatever. Look at the facts, man. Look at the facts.
Especially for the small businesses, man. I think they are the ones who are impacted.
And those are the real businesses, man.
Because they cannot cover their losses and big businesses.
Dude, the small businesses are the most important businesses in the country. Because that's where the potential for growth is. If small businesses die, then the country is a mafia state run by a multinational conglomerate. Remember colonization was done by businesses, multinational corporations. We were colonized by businesses that were sent a lot of the times by, royal families or the government of the USA, Anglo-American, Anglo-Gold Ashanti, G4S. These are multinational businesses that run everything. And they don't give a damn about your civilians. They don't give a damn about your poor people. They want profits and they want them all. So when you kill small businesses, which is done on purpose actually, lockdown, one of the purposes was to kill small businesses. Small businesses give people independence from the government. It's through small businesses that people are able to provide for their families for generations and generations. When you kill small businesses, You kill medium enterprises. You kill micro enterprises. You kill spaza shops and local economies. You call them the informal sector and you kill them through municipal laws. Then you are destroying the people's daily bread so that people can depend on the state with social grants, and you give them 350 every month so that they can keep on coming back to beg, because if they don't come back to beg, they won't have anything to eat. And then you come and propose social, what is this thing that they're proposing? Universal basic income, so that people can continue obeying you, and if they don't obey you, then you cut off the benefits. That's what they're doing, man. They want to propose this universal basic income in the country. With the universal basic income, everyone earns something, you don't have to work for it. But then trust me, along the way, there's going to be a social credit system. If you speak about things that the government doesn't deem good for society, then you will lose some of those benefits. China's already doing it. China's already doing it. You speak about things that the Chinese government have labeled to be anti-government and a dangerous society, then you lose some benefits. You are banned. You are basically under house arrest.
But I think China is like in dictatorship, right?
It is a technocratic dictatorship.
But we are a democratic country.
Are we though?
I don't see how that would work.
Are we really a democratic country?
Aren't we?
Well, lockdown, was it democratic? Did we vote for lockdown? Or was it a central command thing that was done? You can't just decide, man, that it's a state of disaster, it's a state of emergency, it's a state of this. You can't just change things just like that in a democratic country. Remember, the moment they say it's a state of emergency, then they can, they can leave some of those democratic policies on the side and they can do whatever they want. They can change policies. Democracy has its own loopholes, man. We are under a state of disaster, I think, right now as we speak. That's why they can change rules as they please. They did that during lockdown, man. There was no democracy during lockdown. We were a dictatorship. And the only issue is that South African government is so ineffective at doing things that they couldn't even do this dictatorship thing properly, which is good for us. They couldn't. When people got tired of lockdown, we were not wearing masks. I stopped wearing masks a long time ago, man. You see, which is a good thing for us. But then imagine if these guys were effective at what they were doing. We would just be a democracy on paper. But then the moment they say it's a state of emergency, state of disaster, they just create a small crisis, man. Just a small crisis, something that's not even proven. They create it and then they come and announce on TV, it's a state of emergency. So we'll change the law now. Everyone must be in the house by 7 p.m. So even democracy can be a dictatorship. Technocratic dictatorship. If they can improve on technology, man, like really improve on technology and be able to spy on us every way they can control us. Ramaphosa has been the president under this kind of dictatorship that we saw. We did definitely see elements of dictatorship. Yes, we are a democracy. That's why I'm able to speak about these things. I don't disagree with that. But I'm saying that there are elements that you see that are not democratic at all.
Yeah. Even what they did in the march, like the way they responded in terms of like the way they sent the security.
Dude, like the guy was saying it's gonna be a peaceful march, it's gonna be a peaceful march, it's gonna be a peaceful. But people were going crazy. The police were there.
They didn't send anyone when DA was protesting to their offices.
To loot to the house, imagine.
To their offices, bro.
Now
you can see some element of some racism and stuff, because now if it's done by black people, it's going to be like violent and stuff. But if it's done by white people, now it's going to be peaceful. You don't need to deploy like security systems.
And that's the ANC that people still vote to power. So you see why the average white family is 5 times wealthier than an average black family. You see why black people own less than 5% of the farming land in this country. Less than 5%. Whereas black people are more than 80% of the population, they have less than 5% of farming land in the country. A country they call their own. This is not your country. You just here. You are, what is this thing we used to do in varsity? You're just squatting. You're a squatter in South Africa. You don't control farming land. You don't control mining land. You don't control the water. You don't control nothing, really. Anyway, talking about staged crisis, what did you think of the bombing at Nhlanhla Lux's home? I hear that there was a bomb somewhere there.
Man, I didn't see any effects of the bomb, however.
Do you think there was a real bomb there?
Nah, man. The hole that I saw seems like, maybe a dog was playing there.
And digging the hole.
Yeah, digging the hole. So like, because nothing is broken. You can see, man, the house is fine. There's no fire. Everything is fine.
Man, I don't know.
He says that he cannot find his parents, and he was still waiting to see his parents to see if they are safe and stuff like that. You know.
No, I'm gonna be honest, man. When I saw that Nhlanhla Lux had been bombed, Nhlanhla Lux's home had been bombed, I didn't believe it immediately. I just don't believe it, man, and I don't give a damn about it. Honestly, I don't care about Nhlanhla Lux or his home. Neither do I care about Julius Malema, man. Look, man.
Where was the bomb squad?
Look, bro, I saw Peggy Kele. The moment I saw Peggy Kele, I knew these guys are playing a game, man. I saw Peggy Kele, man, in a site where there was a bomb. I knew they were playing a game with South Africans, man. What do these guys want from South Africans, man? South Africans are suffering already. Why are they playing games and theatrics and tactics? Firstly, I reprimanded Julius Malema and Nhlanhla Lux of this nonsense of playing fight back and forth. And then you had Vusi Thembekwayo and this guy, Penuel, the Black Pen. What rubbish are these guys? What do they want from my people? Leave South Africans out of your nonsense, man. And now Nhlanhla Lux came after Julius Malema's wife. Like, what boyish behavior is that, man? Even if people had respect for this guy, now people are losing it. So I don't even want us to waste time talking about these things of these guys, man. Let's talk about our people, the South African, the average South African. You see, people who are really affected by this.
Penuel was crying that people say
he's a sellout.
He's a sellout because he joined AfriForum.
Well, you
he
see,
was seen with Rob Hersoff,
but he loves Rob Hersoff. If South Africans don't like that,
he's saying,
no, he must live with it, man.
You're buying from the white man's shops and
he has a point.
You're waiting for a white man.
But he has a point, eh? But he must not expect people to just be all fun and merry. Oh, it's nice, Robert Soff. Oh, what a good guy. To me, he's not a good guy. I don't give a damn about Robert Soff to begin with. I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I don't give a damn about Robert Soff. I don't give a damn about any one of them. You see, these guys must not think they have... Nobody needs to listen to Penuel the Black Pen. Nobody needs to listen to Vusi Thembekwayo. They are not owed by anyone anything. If they think they're entitled to talking so that people can listen, they have another thing coming their way. I defend Penuel's right to speak, man. I defend his right to have his own views. But I defend the people of South Africa's right to have their own views as well. If people think Penuel the Black Pen is a sellout, then let them think he's a sellout and he has to deal with it. He's the one who's friends with Robert Soff. He's the one... I saw one comment under his videos that I was watching where someone was saying that Penuel is too close to the Stellenbosch Mafia. It's uncomfortable. And Penuel was correcting this guy that, no, Robert Soff is not part of the Stellenbosch Mafia. Robert Soff is English. That was a shock to me that he doesn't even know Robert Soff's origin. He says he's English. That guy is not English. That guy is a Russian. Actually, he's a Russian Jewish immigrant to South Africa. His family were Russian Jews. Hertzog, man, listen to the surname. There's no English person. Oh, William Hertzog. No such a thing. I mean, even the English are related to the Russians one way or another, somewhere down the line, especially the royal families. Ne? But we know the Russians are Slavic people, mostly. So, for me, that was a shock that this guy doesn't know Rob Hertzog as much as he thinks he does. He calls him an Englishman. He's not an Englishman. He's not Anglo-Saxon. He's a Jewish guy from the Russian Jews. Remember, 80% of the initial Soviet Union government were Jewish people. 80%, more than 80% were Jewish people. So there's a lot of Russians who are Jewish in origin, and Rob Hertzog was one of them. It is not just Rob Hertzog. A lot of these billionaires in South Africa are Jewish, you know, from the guys who own the media, the Kirsch Consortium. Those are Jewish people. Nathan Kirsch. Nathan Kirsch was actually said to have been a funder of the EFF. He's a Jewish guy funding the EFF. You know, the guy who started Investec, or was it Investec or Discovery? Adrian Gore, we'll get to that on another day. You have the guy who started, the guys who manufacture a lot of the products that we use, even for the traditional ceremonies. I forgot the company, but they have the product called King Corn. The Amabel. It's owned by a Jewish organization, Jewish people. So, I think Discovery is also, Adrian Gore is a Jew. There's a lot of them. I just forgot them now. I'm sorry, man. But you have to know the people that you're around so that you know what you're getting yourself into. So when that guy said to Penuel the Black Pen that, no, you're too close to the Stellenbosch Mafia, Penuel was like, no, this guy is not even Afrikaner. He's an English guy. No, he's not. I told Penuel, he's not English. He's a Russian Jew. Penuel didn't know that. That's fine. I don't give a damn. What I give a damn about is when Now Penuel gets, affected when people have his own opinions of him. He's the one who came out saying that he's not Zulu anymore. He said it. Penuel the Black Pen said he's not Zulu anymore. So when people call him a sellout, then it's fine, man. Let them call him a sellout. They have their own reasons. If he knows he's not a sellout, then he's not a sellout. I'm so sick and tired of this bickering back and forth, man. But these are just my reflections. Penuel has every right to have his own views. If he wants to be a member of AfriForum, let him be a member of AfriForum. Let him give his money to the Boers and the Afrikaners. Maybe he thinks they are good people. If he has reason to believe they are good people, let him believe it. But majority of South Africans will never believe that, and they have every right to do so because we have evidence, concrete evidence that Afrikaners were never good to us. So now it's interesting that they're going to be good in 2023. They should have been good 400 years ago, 350 years ago. They didn't use that opportunity. So for me, if you want to convince me that Rob Hertzhoff is good, maybe you can try in another life. So this nonsense of crying and complaining that South Africans are calling him a sellout, that's just being childish, man. He should expect it. He had it coming. You're crying that, oh, South Africans have pained me. He had it coming. And he goes on a 2-hour interview and they are there praising the Jews. Oh, the Jews. Oh, they are spending money in their community. The suit you are wearing, I wonder where it was made. Because if you're going to go and point out that the Jews spend money within their community and yet you're wearing a suit that was not made by a South African, a Zulu South African, Xhosa, Sutu, Ndebele, Pedi, Tsonga, Venda, Mulubedu, or Zizi, Hlubi, any other of the indigenous group, it was not made by them, then you are also contributing to the problem. And these guys who start thinking that people deserve to be listened to and agreed with, they're delusional, man. All these guys, South Africa, there's this trend now of people who come online and expect everyone to agree with them. I, for one, I don't need you to agree with me. Even you, my brother Masande. You don't need to agree with me, man. Please don't agree with me. But you need to hear me out. I want you to hear me. I want you to listen. And I want you to be critical. You don't have to believe anything I say. Go and confirm if it's fact. And then debate with me. But these guys, Penuel, Vusi, some of them, it's like they want you to agree with them without any critical analysis. You see, they will come and say, no, you can disagree with me. But the moment you start to disagree, it's like you've done something wrong. You see, let South Africans disagree with you. You don't dictate how people disagree with you. You can't dictate that. You can't tell people that, no, this is how you disagree. You don't disagree this way. If you disagree and that's it. And you don't have to feel pain about that. These guys come and say, the Jews and the Muslim communities, they spend within their communities, which is true. I think money in the Jewish community circulates at least 13 or 17 times before it leaves. And the Muslims, they're just below that figure. Within our community, money doesn't circulate at all. It doesn't circulate, man, because we don't spend within our communities. Including these guys who are speaking about it. Including them. They don't spend within our communities. When they go to Dubai, do you look for a hotel that's owned by a South African black person? Do you look for it? If it's not there, what do you do about it? Do you know practicing Jewish people, they don't stay in a hotel that's not kosher? Jewish people, they're not going to stay in an apartment that's run by a Gentile, a Goyim. They're not going to do that. They'll stay in a hotel that's run by Jewish people, a Jewish person who was circumcised, who follows the Jewish tradition, who follows the Talmud or Judaism in all its different versions. And that's how they make sure that the money stays. Even Afrikaners, they'll buy at Van Rensburg. They'll buy at Van Skyk. They're not going to buy at Dlamini's store. They're going to do that because they know it has to circulate within their community. So you're not going to come here and point that out and then point that South Africans don't do that, where yourself, you're also not doing it. You should start with you. That's why I like DJ Smooth, man. DJ Smooth is not even going to talk about that subject, but you'll see his actions. The guy's going to be wearing batu. He's going to be wearing drip. He's going to be wearing Maxhosa. He's going to be wearing traditional, even if he has non-South African brands. But you see him wearing South African brands. Knowing his brand, that's a big statement, man. I like people like that. But in all that I've just said, I still defend Penuel the Black Pen's right to speak his mind. I also defend South Africans' right to criticize him. If it's painful, you had it coming, my brother. If it's constructive, that's good for you as well. Even for me, man, if people criticize me, they're angry at me, it's fine. It's valid. The moment you put on a camera in front of you and you speak out, expect responses. Some of them are going to be positive, some are going to be negative. So is Penwell a black pen a sellout? Is he a puppet? Is he a coon? Is he a clown? It's up to you to decide, my brothers and sisters. You have every right in the world to decide. But at least do it with facts, Do it with facts.
But do you think the Julius Malema shutdown was a success? And if you think so, what makes you say that?
It was not a success. It was not a success at all. Remember, the shutdown was for Cyril Ramaphosa to step down immediately. He has not stepped down, and the shutdown is passed. So it was a failure. That's it. I don't have anything more to say. Do you want me to say more?
you might as well expand on that.
So remember, man, the shutdown was meant for him to step down with immediate effect, right? It didn't happen. He didn't step down. I told you that he's not going to step down. It was a failure in that regard. But I do think that when it comes to political score point gaining, I think Julius Malema might have gained some points with some people who were initially against him. I even said that, wow, for the first time we don't have load shedding. You see, that's a point gained by Julius Malema, at least. So there are some people who might now, from what happened in the shutdown and how the situation is with load shedding, some people might say, wow, the EFF, they did something good. Maybe I'm going to vote for them. So that's a point for Julius.
Which party are you going to vote for?
Man, I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to vote at all. I do think we should vote. I do think we should vote, man, especially as young people. We should definitely vote. Just for the sake of South Africa, honestly. But personally, I don't believe in this nonsense of voting and all that. But for the sake of this country, man, I do think we should. But at the most fundamental level, what I believe in is to be completely separated from this system. I believe in complete independence, man. So what I really believe is that we should come together, put money together, buy huge pieces of land in each province, have our own communities in each province. You see, we name them. We have maybe 5 villages of our own. By village, I mean just the land where we build our own shops, our own houses, our own gyms, our own schools for our own kids. You see, we literally design the entire life of our children from scratch ourselves, completely independent of any government involvement. If we can do that, that is my belief. We don't vote for the government, we vote for our own people, in our own, and we are united by a particular belief system. And that belief is to preserve us as a people, because everything else is against us, including the ANC, including the EFF, because you can't tell me that you're protecting the Constitution if you are on my side. Because the Constitution is being manipulated to destroy us. The Constitution has been there for the past 30 years and our life has gotten worse. So I don't give a damn about that Constitution. But it can be used to benefit us. It's not being used. So we can use the Constitution to have our own independence, man. That's what I believe in. If you really ask me, I believe in complete independence. We come together, put money together, buy land, buy resources. We teach people how to farm, teach people how to hunt, self-defense, technology, water systems, electricity systems. You see, that's the whole thing. Our involvement with the outer communities of South Africa is to control and own everything. We own malls, we own every single thing, then we come back and invest in our communities. Do you understand me, my brother? That's what I want for my people. But not everyone, I'm sorry, man. Only people who meet certain criteria. We can talk about this in another day. I did a little introduction to traditional economics. Remember when I introduced the whole idea of inkunzi and inkabi and how we can translate this concept into modern day economic structures. That's where I'm going, my brother. I want complete, absolute independence, including our own security forces, man. We must have our own paramilitary groups. You see, we must have our own militia groups. People must learn how to shoot guns. We must have guns. We must have basements to store food, to store seeds, to store water. That's what we need, brother. That's me. In terms of voting, we are still living in South Africa, in this matrix called South Africa. I think in 2024 we can vote so that we can try and improve the little bit that we can in this already compromised matrix called South Africa, because it's already messed up, man. But we can improve it, We've got everything we need in this country to improve this country. The only thing that is not there is will. There is capacity, but will is not there. And I feel sorry for whoever wins the next elections because the amount of debt in this country is, oh my goodness. I won't be shocked if China starts taking our harbors and our farms. I will not be shocked at all. That's the first one. And then secondly, man, I hear that some people say Julius Malema might be the deputy president. Some people seem to think that Paul Mashatile is actually going to be the next president and Julius will be his deputy. I don't know about that, but if he does become the deputy, I mean, kudos to him. It's politics. It's a game, man. These guys are just playing a game. Helen Zille understands this game.
Where does that put Steenhuisen then?
Steenhuisen is just a puppet, man. He's not even respected in the DA. That guy's going to be pushed aside. He doesn't even have matric. He only has matric, man. Look at him, man. He reads a script when he speaks. Is there anything interesting about Steenhuisen that you know of? He's just a mouthpiece.
His points, the points that he makes in Parliament.
Oh, the points that are written for him. Is that what you mean?
Some of the points that he makes.
The ones that are written for him.
Even the EFF as well stands by him sometimes.
He's weak, man, for the DA. He's weak. A lot of DA voters left the DA. They are with Action SA. Some are with Freedom Front Plus because Steenhuisen is weak for them. They want Helen Zille. So I think he might just be pushed aside and they'll put Helen Zille there. You see? She's coming back to the political front now. She's been spearheading this, and she's Jewish, by the way, herself, from Germany. Ashkenazi Jewish people. You see? A lot of these, even Joe Slovo's, Suzmans, they were Jewish people, very involved in South Africa. Very, very minor population, but extremely involved in this country. But that's a topic for another day.
But why would you say now Steenhuisen's speech is written for him?
I know it's politics, man. He's a puppet. You can't take Steenhuisen seriously, man. You can't take him seriously. Look, this guy went to Podcast and Chill, right? He spoke about a lot of things. He made some jokes, and he had some backlash coming against him. People had to come and defend him. He couldn't speak for himself. What I see happening, I'm not going to get into this or that, but I don't want this to be too long. But what I see happening is that he's weak as a personality. I'm not saying he's stupid as an individual, but his persona is too weak for the DA, right? It's very weak for the DA. The DA, at this point, that's why they've lost a lot of voters. A lot of their voters have left, man. I mean the white voters. The black voters left because of Musmaimane. Musmaimane was kicked out. Lindiwe Zibuko was kicked out. Phumzile van Dam was kicked out. Herman Mashaba left. You see, a lot of these black DA, your clever blacks, the fools who thought they are liked by white people, they were kicked out.
There's a lot of them, actually.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Especially most of them who live in the Western Cape.
Oh, shame, man. It's so sad. But anyway, let them be, man. They chose what they want to be. They want to be like that. Let them be like that. But Steenhuisen, his personality is too weak for a lot of the DA voters, right? He comes across as a speaker more than anything. He doesn't have that political power that Godzilla has. They even called Helen Zille Godzilla. Godzilla is controversial, man. She's a very controversial figure. She has a lot of strong haters, and she has a strong voice as well. Helen Zille is strong, my brother, as a leader. That Gogo doesn't play as a political leader. She's a formidable opponent to the ANC and to the EFF as well. But Steenhuisen comes across as, he may have very valid points. He's a good speaker, very, very well spoken, but he is not as strong, as provocative, as offensive as Helen Zille is. And I think in politics, you need that edge. And Steenhuisen just doesn't have that edge. He might be able to get a lot of the, more neutral voters, more, tame voters. But the extremes, the people who want, that extreme action have left and they've gone to the Freedom Front Plus. And the people who want that blackness, they've joined the Action SA. So right now the DA is in a crossroads. There's Steenhuisen, who's appealing to a much more milder population than Helen Zille. He's less controversial. He's less, agitative than Helen Zille. But then they've lost also a huge chunk of the black vote because they've been kicking out these black leaders. So that's where the DA are right now, right? Now, Helen Zille can come in. She might be the last hope to win back the white voters. But I don't think they might win back the white voters. Their only way to win back the white voters might be through a black leader as well. You see, because a lot of white people in South Africa understand, man, the race issues in this country. A lot of white people know exactly what's needed. So a lot of white people would rather vote for a black leader in a party that will benefit white people. I'm not sure if you hear what I mean. They would rather vote for a black leader in a party that will benefit white people, like the DA. They know the DA will serve them, right?
The ANC.
You see?
They know the ANC will serve them.
You see? Except that they are not efficient. So they also like the efficiency and the effectiveness. So there's efficiency and efficacy as well that comes with it. So if the ANC was effective and efficient, white people would definitely vote for the ANC.
Man, look at our situation in the location. Look at our people are poor as the higher powers want them to be. How can you say it's not efficient? We're still in the same situations. They haven't done anything.
So they are efficient in destroying us. Absolutely.
That's what they are there to do.
Damn, bro, those are some strong words, brother. you better handle it in the comment section when they start coming for me. You better be there for me, brother. But yeah, man, you see, so that's what I see. Some white people in the DA would rather vote for a black leader in a party that's still safe for white people, like Action SA. You see, they can see Action SA is a little safe for white people, but then there's a black face as a leader. They understand that majority of the people in South Africa are black, man. I'm not gonna vote for a white person. It's just not gonna happen, man. Unless it's a white person that I know culturally grew up Kokasi, speaks all the languages, went through all the traditions. They understand at their deepest core the typical experience. Then I would love to see them as a mayor somewhere. I want to see their action, and I would love to see them as do you understand? Which is extremely rare cases. But that kind of white person, I would love to see what they would do. Give them a chance as a premier of a province, first and foremost, and let's see what they will do. But majority of white South Africans are raised in a racist environment anyway at home. So there's no way that they were shielded from their parents' racism, for that matter. And a lot of alt white South Africans were part of the apartheid anyway. They'll only die in the next 50 years, man. Maybe in the next 100 years, we won't have anyone who was in the apartheid. Then maybe we might have a different conversation. But for now, the average white person in South Africa is a racist. Even if they don't use the word kafir or they don't think black people are monkeys, they do have some preconceived ideas that they inherited from their parents, who inherited them from their parents, who inherited from their parents, who inherited from their parents. And the average black person hates themselves and they think white is right. You see? That's why when they see Rob Herzog in an interview, they'll suddenly believe everything he says. That's why when they see Steenhuisen in an interview, they'll be so excited in the comment section. Oh, Steenhuisen, what a great guy. But if it was a black politician with grade 12, that would be a different conversation. So the double standards needs to stop. Anyway, to wrap this up, man. Guys, this is just a conversation. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Don't forget to like and subscribe
Peace,
to the channel.
love, and healing.